welcome to another ARC review. So this is an ARC review of a book called The Cruelty of Magic by Shawn Amick. If I've mispronounced the last name, I apologise. Now, as with all the ARC reads that I have on my channel, there will be no spoilers going forward. And I applied for this one on the author's TikTok page, and luckily I got it. This book is a high fantasy adult fiction. Yes. No young adult, no nothing like that. High fantasy adult fiction. And it was the blurb for this that really interested me. And I'm going to read it out to you so you will see if it interests you too. A warlord seeks the destruction of Runefall and the end of magic as a prophecy is met with doubt. Kyra, a young woman capable of wielding rune magic, is called from her hidden city to a temple no one knows about. As Kyra wrestles with a prophecy and wants to save her city, a dwarven king leads his people to carve a new home for themselves, but instead finds himself approaching divinity. On the other side of the world, a dark sewer hosts a father and daughter who escaped a tyrannical attack. They now hide and attempt to summon a golem for protection, but learn something about magic that might change the world. Intricate stories and deep lies connect people from all across the land. The actions of one may very well condemn the lives of another, even if they never meet. Such is the cruel way of the world and the unforgiving cost of magic. So that really interested me. It interested me so much that I DM'd a complete stranger asking for an ARC of his book. We open on a council meeting. A fearsome warlord is near the city waiting for Runefall to fall. This city is protected by all manner of magic runes, for want of a better word. Now, in this council meeting, it is a very heated debate, as you can imagine with a warlord on your, outside your city, wanting to kill and slaughter everybody within and destroy everything. Debates like that can get a little bit heated. A name has been written on the stone of prophecy. Kyra's name. Now, they are debating whether they should abide by tradition of when a name appears on this rock of prophecy, that person is sent out of the city to a temple where nobody really knows the location of, except maybe one or two people. But sending somebody out of the city risks the warlord seeing her and discovering exactly where the city is. Because right now, because it's protected by magic, you can't see it from the outside. You know it's there, sort of in the vicinity, but not exactly where. And sending somebody out would be like somebody walking out of an invisible wall and thinking, they appeared out of thin air, that's where. Or do they hold fast, stay in the city, keep her there, and risk the gods' disfavour by keeping safe and hidden behind the rune wall? So you can imagine that it's quite a heated debate. Go out and abide by prophecy and the gods have written her name upon the rock, or stay put and hope the warlord goes away, but risk the disfavour of the gods by doing so. To be honest, I don't know which way I would swing. Although, if a warlord's over that side of your city, can't you just sneak her out back? But it's fantasy. I'll stop it. Now, one of the first things I noticed about this book, I don't have the physical copy because it's not out yet, but one of the first things I noticed about this is that it had a map. I love books that have a map. Even though I don't reference the map while I'm reading, I like it being there. I like that an author has taken the time to either draw it themselves, what's in their head, as a visual aid, or that they've employed somebody else to do it for them. I like books that have maps. I just think it goes, that one step beyond. Now, one thing that it was a bit daunting. After the map is the page of character names. And this was I don't know whether it was just because it was on my Kindle, and my Kindle is little, but there were pages and pages and pages of these character names, it was a bit daunting, and there is no way that I would remember even half of them. And I counted them. There's 68 character names on this list. I didn't reference it again. I think some people do like a list of character names and which factions they're all in and who is family with who. But to me, it was a bit daunting because I was thinking, how am I ever going to remember everybody that is in this book? It's just going to be so overwhelming. I'm not going to know what anybody's doing. I'm not going to remember who people are from one chapter to another. So I ignored it and stopped reading it. The character list, not the book. Now, for a physical book, it's not as hard as it is on Kindle, that you can reference character names. In a book, you can just flip backwards and forwards and think, yeah, he's with them. On a Kindle, it's a pain in the arse, and I hate doing it. So I don't do it. Now, one of the first things that I picked up on and actually wrote down in my notes, that for every chapter heading, every different chapter, it has the chapter heading, and then it has a quote from a book called The Thoughts of War. And this is a book which is getting written as he's sat in a tent on a hill from this fearsome warlord. And he's writing a book, and his book quotes are the headings to all the chapters in this book, which I thought was a very, very good touch. And I don't think I've seen that in a book before. It's probably been done in a book before. I just haven't read one, or I can't remember reading one that has headings like that. So I really liked it. I enjoyed it because you kind of, without meeting him first, because you do get to meet him, but even before you've met him, you kind of have an idea of what kind of his mindset is. So that's all hanging in the background. Now, as you can imagine, with a 68 list page of characters, this is a very busy book. It's a very busy read. I don't know how thick it's going to be when it comes out. With some books, they're sort of like airy, they're quite cozy. This one felt full. It felt like, finishing it felt like you've just eaten a really big roast dinner. You are full to the brim and you just can't have any more. And like I said, there were so many characters, so many different viewpoints, and they're all in different places around the map, so they don't interact with each other. So you'll be here, and then you'll be in this viewpoint of a person that's over here, and this viewpoint of a person over here, and it's busy. Now, while reading, this is only my opinion, I did get the impression that this started out with only maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 4 at most main characters, and that's what their viewpoints would have been. But that when writing, more of these characters jumped in and said, I want to be heard, include me. So they were included. Now, because it's such a busy, busy book, I felt that some of it could have been some of it should have been saved for a sequel. But I wasn't sure whether this book was actually a standalone or the first in a series. And nothing on like the Kindle title pages, nothing, gave it a series name. So I wasn't quite sure, but I didn't want to put that as a criticism if it wasn't true. So what did I do? I messaged a complete stranger about the book that they had written. I messaged the author over on TikTok, and I was quite apprehensive because as a reviewer messaging the author, I would say most of the time it's great, and then some of the time it's not. There's been a lot of videos where reviewers and authors have interacted and it hasn't gone well at all. So I was a bit apprehensive about messaging this complete stranger about this work that I'm reading for free, I might add, with questions. But luckily, he's a stand-up gent and messaged me back, and it is the first in a series. Not sure what the series is going to be called yet, but it is the first book in a series, which makes it a whole lot better because the amount of world building that is in this book is just big. It's big. So if the second book, it makes sense for that, for all that world building and all that intricate workings and goings on in the background to be stuffed in the first book, so you don't have to redo it in the second, which makes more sense. And with the way that some of the characters are left, it makes sense for it not to be a standalone. Now, as you can imagine, because I am a little bit animated, I enjoyed reading this book. This book gets 4 stars from me because I enjoyed reading it. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to know, I needed to know what happened next. All the characters were engaging and well written. There was, which you would think, for there being so many of them, that some of them would have, fallen by the wayside, but no, they're all engaging. They all have their own personalities. They're all interesting to read. And like I said, the world building was just top notch, and it wasn't overwhelming to read how this world functioned and how the people in it functioned with each other. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet in this review is part of the title, and that being magic. This, of course, being high fantasy, there is a magic system, and the magic system is front and centre, as you would expect it to be, being part of the title and part of the blurb, and the reason why these characters are doing what they're doing or find themselves in the situations which they find themselves. Magic is front and centre in this book. Every single character has their own unique traits and their own unique connections to magic, whether it's how they use it or how they interact with it or how they've got a history with it. It's all unique to each character. And further along, you get introduced to the gods and goddesses of this magic world, and they're unique and have their own traits as well. But one thing about this book that I really, really liked is it doesn't do what most fantasy books fall into the realm of doing, which is, if a character can do magic, they can do it at the click of their fingers. Easy. It's just like eating Tic Tacs. They just throw magic out, just willy-nilly, off the pop, as much as they like. Even if they have like a little bit of training, they don't usually need much. And there's just magic, magic everywhere. Oh, lovely, glorious magic in to save the day. Not with this one. The use of magic in this book has consequences for the wielder. And it's not always to the benefit of everyone, especially the caster of said magic. And I really like that because it instills in the reader that magic is not just a fluffy plot point and just a character trait, a piece of someone's personality that they can just waft out magic as much as they like, but that the magic in this world, the magic in this book, is a force not to be trifled with lightly. Because it has consequences, not just for the person casting it and their general vicinity, but like ripples in a pool. It is not to be trifled with lightly. So as you can gather, I really, really like this book. I think this book is out on the 15th of October. I have written it down on my calendar because I've pre-ordered it. Yes, it was that good that after reading it, I wanted the trophy book to put on my shelf with my other ARC trophy books, which are dotted around down there somewhere. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you want to know more. There's a big spooky season starting on the 1st of October. I'm aiming for a spooky video every single day of the month. And doing some recording today, as you can probably tell, I have my spooky jumpers out. So as always, keep reading.
Soft embrace, dark star sips with calm and grace. Wine flows like whispers, secrets told in the night where dreams unfold. Lonely shadows dance with glee, Eyes of amber, soul set free, finds they weave a tale so grand, woven by a whispering hand. Sip the wine, embrace the night, dark stars journey shining bright, through the trials, through the pain, love and light shall still ring